Hello, my dear students. Today I will be discussing about the different types of irrigation system. Mainly, it is classified under two categories. The first one is classification of irrigation system on the basis of the availability of irrigation water. So, this classification is based on the availability of irrigation water, and the second classification is on the basis of the duration of the irrigation. So mainly this irrigation system is classified under two heads. The first one is based on the availability of irrigation water, and second one is based on the duration of irrigation water. So let us take the first one and we'll discuss what are the different types under this category. So under this classification of irrigation system on the basis of availability of irrigation water, there are two types. The first one is flow irrigation system and second one is lift irrigation system. Okay, now let us see what is flow irrigation system. See here, flow irrigation system is the system of irrigation in which the irrigation water is available at such a level that it is conveyed to the land by gravity flow. Means conveyed to the land to be irrigated by gravity flow. Here the irrigation water is available at such a level that it is conveyed to the land by gravity flow. You can see here, this is the flow irrigation. You can see the system in which the irrigation water is available here only at the level, so it can be conveyed to the land by gravity flow. On the basis of the source from which the irrigation water is obtained, the flow irrigation system is again classified into two categories. Okay, basis of the source from which the irrigation water is obtained. Okay, so the first one is direct irrigation system and second one is reservoir or tank or storage irrigation system. So let us see what is the direct irrigation system. Here, as the name itself it indicates, it is the system in which the irrigation water is obtained directly from a river without creating any storage of water. Is the direct irrigation system. Here the water is directly taken from the river without any storage of water. Okay, here in this system only a weir or a barrage is constructed across a river to rise the level of water in the river and facilitate its diversion to irrigation canals. You can see here, these are the weir or barrages are created to store the water. Here in this system, water is directly diverted to the canal without attempting to store the water. For such a system, a low diversion weir or diversion barrage is constructed across the river. Here you can see these are the barrages or weirs. It is constructed across the river. This rises the water level in the river and thus diverts the water to the canal taking off upstream of the weir. Okay, and generally this direct irrigation system is of a smaller magnitude, and since there are no rigid controls over the supplies. Here what happens, one or two main canals, they may take off directly from the river, and cross drainage works are constructed wherever the natural drains or distributary streams cross the canals. And this is about the direct irrigation system. Next one we'll see in a reservoir or a tank or storage irrigation system. Here irrigation water is obtained through canals from a storage reservoir or a tank created by constructing a dam or a bund across the river. Here Here, as the name itself indicates, it is a storage irrigation system. A solid barrier, such as a dam or a storage weir, is constructed across the river, and water is stored in the reservoir or a lake. Okay, in that form, the water is stored here, and then whenever the water is required, that time it will be water will be supplied. So depending upon the water requirements of the crops or the hydroelectric power generation, and upon the flow of the water in the river, the volume of the storage required is decided. So to construct this storage reservoir, you have to take taken into consideration of the flow of the water in the river. So based on that, you can decide the volume of the storage and can construct the reservoirs. Storage irrigation system is comparatively of a bigger magnitude, and it involves much more expenditure than a direct irrigation system. And here a network of canal system is used. In this scheme, a bigger area could be irrigated to raise more crops. The scheme is costly, as I said earlier, than the other schemes. Next, we'll see what is lift irrigation system. Lift irrigation system is the process of lifting water normally from underground sources, and sometimes from surface source by pump. You can see here, this is the lift irrigation system. Here the water is lifted from the underground sources. Okay, and for sometimes you may require mechanical power or man or animal power to lift the water, and then direct this lifted water is supplied to the agricultural field. You can see here. Okay. In this system of irrigation, the irrigation water is available at a level lower than that of the land to be irrigated. Hence, the water is lifted up by pumps or other mechanical devices and then conveyed to the land to be irrigated by gravity flow. The good example for this is well. The well is a good example for lift irrigation system. Okay, here mainly, water is lifted from the underground sources by using the pump. Next, the second category is classification of irrigation systems on the basis of the duration of the irrigation. So here again there are two types: inundation irrigation system and perennial irrigation system. You can see here, this is inundation or flood irrigation, and here what happens, in which a large quantity of water flowing in a river during floods is allowed to flood or inundate the land to be cultivated, thereby causing a thorough saturation of the land. The excess water is then drained off and the land is used for cultivation. Okay, here what happens during the flood time, the water is, it is allowed to flood or inundate the land which is to be cultivated. So it saturates the land thoroughly. If there is any extra water that is drained off and the land is used for cultivation. So this is the inundation method. The next one is perennial irrigation system. Here, in which water is supplied as per the crop requirements at regular intervals throughout the period from sowing to harvesting of the crop. In this type, source of water from the river is perennial. Okay, here the water is required throughout the year. So based on the requirements of the crop, for that irrigation is very important. And here a weir or barrage is constructed across the river. You can see here, see, this is the weir or barrages are constructed across the river. And sometimes dam may be constructed to form a reservoir upstream. The main canal with a regulator is constructed where one or both the banks supply water to the crop field. This type is reliable as water is available during the whole period of the year. So this is about perennial irrigation system. Next is we'll see what are the advantages and disadvantages of these two types of system. I mean lift irrigation and flow irrigation. In lift irrigation, farmers can supply water to the crop field according to their need. Hence, there is no possibility of over irrigation which may occur in flow irrigation. Okay, that is the advantage of lift irrigation. Here there is no possibility of over irrigation, but that happens in the case of flow irrigation. And second point is the water table is lowered considerably in lift irrigation. So there is no possibility of water that may happen in surface irrigation. I mean, water is lowered considerably in lift irrigation. Okay, in the and third point is in lift irrigation, as water is directly applied to the field, loss of water due to seepage in convenience of flow irrigation is less because it is directly applied to the field, so there is a less loss of seepage during the transportation of the water. And other points are initial cost of construction in flow irrigation system is quite high as it requires to construct a barrier like a dam or weir and other hydraulic structures like canal headworks, silt excluder or rejector, etc. But in lift irrigation, initial cost is quite low as it does not require any hydraulic structures because here the water is directly supplied to the irrigation land, agricultural land. As the loss of water is small in lift irrigation, duty of water is very high. I will explain what is duty in the next classes. Maintenance cost in flow irrigation is higher than lift irrigation. More than one crop may be grown in a year in the same crop field in lift irrigation, then yield of crop in flow irrigation is more than the lift irrigation. Okay, these are the some of the advantages and disadvantages of these two systems. Next, we'll see what are the different factors affecting the choice of irrigation method. There are different methods you have to consider before selecting any type of the irrigation method. So the main factors are as follows. The first one is the soil characteristics of the land to be irrigated. First, you have to see what are the soil characteristics, means properties of the soil, texture of the soil, everything you should know. Then topography of the area. So details about topography of the area is very important before starting any irrigation project. Then the available water supply, that also has to be properly checked. What is the source of water? Then type of crop and its requirements, which type of crop has to be grown and its requirements, that also be taken into consideration. Then size of the stream supplying irrigation water, then amount of water required in each irrigation. So all these factors to be considered before the selection of any irrigation method. In the next class, we'll see what are the different types of irrigation methods. Okay, I think all of you understood. If you have any doubts, we can discuss in the class. Thank you.